is waiting.
We gotta be quiet now, huh? You put your
No,
video on there. Make sure we don't.
Did you
Actually, do you
record me? Can I get my,
99 cents, absolutely. No, you can't move that, I got 99 cents.
Oh, okay.
Right there, that's perfect. Hi, folks. We're all up here. Some of us are there. There's Kevin, and there's Josh, and we are Collabrify. We started at the university, I'm still at the university, got a day job. And we started with the idea that in school, kids work together. And how do you make kids working together easier? And our slogan is making synchronous collaboration easier, and what we're doing is this. Up to now, we've had Web 2.0, which is really asynchronous. Whether it's SMS, texting, right? Whether it's Facebook, you post something, you say something, you say something, you say something. That's asynchronous. And Kevin came up with the notion of social 3.0, that what's really going to happen is going to be synchronous collaboration. That's going to be the next sort of move. And you've all used, or many of you used, the Google Docs editor, and it's really an amazing experience, right? You get online and you start working with people, and you start talking to them, and it's really just it's a jarring experience, at least initially, right? And what we did is we developed for education the We Collabrify suite. We started with Android, and we did some iOS, and we'll talk about that. And what we're working on is, well, we're going to make a prediction that in 2 to 4 years, every app and every web page is going to be Collabrify. The technology is just going to demand it, right? The networks are there, the devices are there. It's just going to happen, right? And we're doing our part to make it happen. But in general, this is a kind of thing that we're going to see. And this picture is from St. Francis Catholic School down on Washington. These are seventh graders, and they're doing science, and they're using Android tablets, you know, and all 90 kids are doing it. They're reading a textbook, and they're outlining the textbook using a concept mapping tool called WeMap, which is part of We Collabrify. And at the university, the name of my group is the Intergalactic Mobile Learning Center. Global isn't big enough, right? So that's it. But if you think about it again, this idea that 2 to 4 years, sure, it's all going to happen. It's going to be different. So what we've been developing now is stepping back and saying, oh, can we take the SDK, the software development kit, that we used in those devices and now use it for other apps? So, for example,
Sure.
sure, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I'll give you 5 months later.
Try talking in my sleep.
You have a mobile app, right? You take our SDK, our software development kit, and what you then have is a Collabrify app. And by Collabrify app, we mean 2 or more people can use that app simultaneously, whether co-located or not co-located. And in the classroom, they're co-located, right? They're sitting next to each other. But we have an app called Yes We Khan. So with the Khan Academy app, the Khan Academy, where the kids are watching videos, but they're watching at home and they get stuck. Every time you watch a video, you get stuck. You know what the hell he's talking about. So you use this Yes We Khan app with other kids, and you talk to them, and you watch the video, and you write at the same time. So it's more than just Skype, right? Skype, you know, you could talk to somebody at the same time. But you got to be inside the app, doing the app. Now that takes a little more technology, and that's the software development kit. So what we'd like to now do is give you a demo of WeMap, which is the concept mapping program. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the emulator inside because it's going to make it simpler. And we're going to start up We Collabrify. Okay, and we have a president's file. Okay. You know, Democratic presidents, Republican president, you know, that's what kids will do. We're going to create a session, Soloway's class, because that's what the teacher's class, okay? And we're going to have a session for this collaboration session, table 55, because there's table 55, there's table 56, etc., etc. And now, that other app is going to go look for that class, Soloway's class, and is going to find the session, table 55. And now, we're going to move, let's say, Democrats. We're going to move the node Democrats, and it moves. And we can move Republicans. We're not going to make any cracks about Republicans, but we're going to add a node. We're going to add a node Lincoln. Lincoln was a Republican, so you know, in some sense. We're going to make it red, right? You know, an old Republican. And now watch, it's going to. There's Lincoln and there's Lincoln, okay? See, it moves. And there's that little difference. Now, you can see it because you're sitting next to it. But if you're separate, you're not going to see the difference. I mean, that little tiny difference. And so now these are what's going on. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail. It's going up and going down. And you can have lots and lots of kids. There's no limit to the number. So now let's show you another app. And it's another app about how people come together. And this is we're going to use for grocery stores. And it's a shared collaborative shopping list. You and your wife and your kids are going to make a collaborative shopping list. So you've got milk, potatoes, how about put bread? Add some bread, what the hell? So we're going to add bread. Okay, now we're going to send a message to, using Google Hangouts, to Darnock, and Darnock is going to write the, whoever Darnock is, we're going to be together, and we're going to make the list together, okay? And we're going to use Hangouts as the way to do the voice between the two. Okay. So now, well, let's add wine. Why not? And we're going to add wine there, and there goes over there. And so go to the other one, and add pasta. And pasta's there, and it goes on the other one. So again, you can have many of them, and you can delete it, etc., etc. So this is a Collabrify list. It supports synchronous collaboration. Okay, so now you've got the ideas, the general idea. Now let's go deeper into the technology, and let's see. That's right. Vidal will. Here you go, Vidal. Vidal's going to show us the architecture.
So today you're going to hear about some code on the Android side, and for that to make sense, I'm going to provide you with a little bit of context. Here's the high-level view, the aerial view of what's going on. For the Collabrify platform, there are two major components. The first is the back end. Now, every action that you just saw, it's actually an event going up to the back end and being replicated out to anybody in a session. And again, that can be any number of people in a session. And we call those events. And the back end imposes a global ordering to all of those events. So everything that happens, there is a strict ordering that it happens with. The other thing is, the back end is message blind. Whatever data you want to be sending up there, that's fine. We'll deal with it. We're message blind, and the next thing is that the back end stores state. Now, what is a session? A session is all the events that happen from the beginning of the session up until now. So if you have someone joining a late session, they log in, or they connect to the session, they pull all these events, and then they have the same state. And that's exactly what you just saw with Darnock's shopping app. He joined the session, he pulled all those events, and then he was suddenly up to date. Every event from then, they were completely in sync, and that's what you just saw. And then finally, quick note. So we're big Google fans. We love Google technology, we love Google Android, we love Google App Engine, we love Google Protocol Buffers. It's just great stuff, and that may or may not bleed through in our presentation. But it's friendly room, so we're good. We're good. I'm going to turn things over to Adrian. He's going to say a few words about the device-side client.
So on the device side, we have our Collabrify client, which is the SDK that we're going to be distributing to developers. And the SDK handles all the networking work that it needs to do. It handles creating sessions, it handles joining sessions, pulling lists of sessions, setting up events, listening for incoming events. You don't need to write any networking code to be collaborative with our SDK. It also ensures that events that are coming in, they arrive in the right order, in the same order for every device, and the client code ensures that.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about supporting developers. This is Josh.
So another tool we are working on is a web dashboard, which we're calling the Collabrify dashboard. It's a web app. It's built using Google Web Toolkit, more Google. So it's the idea is it'll be a tool for Collabrify developers to manage their Collabrify apps. Okay, so you'll be able to track user data, user statistics. You can manage your apps. For example, how often a certain event in WeMap, how often does user X create a node? And you can use this data to maybe charge the user or for whatever reason. In the future, we have in the pipeline is live session tracking, which we believe would be very useful for debugging. So you could actually see events coming in through the wire. See, okay, this user's connected, he just did this, he just did this. And I think that's it.
Okay, and now we're going to dive one layer deeper now into showing you how, if you had a mobile app, how would you Collabrify it? What are the elements of the collabrification?
Well, to be collaborative in Collabrify, you need to be in a session. So first, you will want to create a session. Every method call in our client is asynchronous to ensure that it returns immediately. We just use listeners just to notify you when things are done. So to create a session, you call the create session method of the client. You supply the name, the session name. Just now in the concept mapping, we use table 55. The tags, which is it's like a description of your session. How will people search for your session? So just now we use always class. A password, if you need the session to be password protected, it's optional. We don't require it. A participant limit, 0 for unlimited, up to 5,000. Then the listener. So when you call create session, it returns immediately, and then sometime down the line, when the session has been created, you get a confirmation from the server. This callback will be called, and then you'll know, okay, let's update the UI, or let's show a toast message saying the session has been created. Some other times, things might not go as well, and then you might have an error, like maybe you don't have an internet connection, so you can't be collaborating, and then the on error callback will be called, and then that's where you can do your error checking. So in the example just now, let's say that Bob has created a session. Now Alice wants to join Bob's session, so what is Alice will have to first find Bob's session. You can do that by requesting a list of session from the back end, and you do that by calling request session list. You supply the tags that Bob used to create the session. Again, it was always class in our example, and then you supply another listener, and it will have a callback method called onReceiveSessionList, where it will give you a list of sessions, and then at this point you can create a list dialog to show to Alice, and then you can let Alice pick what session she wants to join. And once Alice picks a session she wants to join, you can call join session, supplying the session ID you get from the Collabrify session object. Again, password if you need a password, and then the same pattern, a listener to notify you when the session has been joined. Note that in the second app example, in WeList, we don't actually use finding a session list. We just use Google Hangouts or Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, or your favorite, whatever is in the app that can send messages to another. You can use that to send the session ID, and that's what we use in the second example. Now, once Alice and Bob is in the session, they can start collaborating. Whenever there's an event in your app, for example, a note has been created, a note has been moved, or milk has been added to your list, or milk has been checked, you want to broadcast that event so that all the other devices will know that, okay, I need to update myself now. And the way you do that is you call the client's broadcast method. You supply the event object. It can contain any data you require. So for example, for a create node event, you need the node name, the node X and Y, like the node name could be Lincoln just now, and then the node color, red, and then you supply the event type. That's just an arbitrary string to help yourself differentiate between different events. So for example, we can use add node. And then again, a listener to just to let you know when the broadcast has been successful. So once Bob has sent that event up, how do Alice receive the event? Well, in Alice's device, she called the client's set session listener method, where this will be called every time a message arrives, and then the message will this will provide you with the event object that Bob has sent there, and then in here you can update your model. There's other nifty features of the client, but what we've shown you is enough to start collaborating.
So for example, your app with the turning of the pages of the music, if all the people are turning the music together, that you could Collabrify, and it would be on all of them.
Yeah, it's very appealing.
You're right, so as you were mentioning it.
Well, what's even better, if let's say you're in a bar or church, wherever you're doing music, if you want to display the set list to you, so if I just played a song, I want that to Collabrify and go out to whoever subscribes to the session.
Right,
So it's very appealing.
right.
Can you, I didn't catch up. This is extremely important. For the music in rock and roll concert, can you go to a little more detail and let me understand how to collaborate in the music events and versus their...
Just no different than what they're doing there, just if you have music, if all these guys are in a band, they want to see the same sheet music in front of them, so you flip a page and there's the music.
Yeah, we're all flipping together. One person flips,
has to flip.
one person flips, and it flips for everybody.
Yeah, so a lot of programs use like Bluetooth or GCM. You know, I've been looking to do something like this, so yeah.
Boom. Because what we're doing, this is the last slide, is we'd like you folks to test drive our SDK. And to sort of summarize, this issue of going from Web 2.0 to Synchronous 3.0, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. This is something, it's a technology, it's going to want to do it, it's going to do it. We'd like to work with you folks and use the SDK that we have to Collabrify your apps. Now what we'd like to do you have Android or iOS devices? Because they're interoperable. So for example, if we create a node in WeMap, if you have an iOS device or you have an Android device, and pretty soon a Windows Phone 8, but no one does. If you have an iOS
I know a
device, one guy's got one of those devices. We work in Singapore with kids, and they have Windows Phone 8. I have Windows Phone 8, so we're developing it for them. So do you have, we can create a session right now. So if you, who's got it, do you want to do this? It'll take 10 seconds. So take out your device. Do you need a device? Anybody need an extra one?
Maybe I can participate. I have Android phone,
Well,
but
this Android phone's fine. Go to the Play Store and download We Collabrify.
okay.
If you're an iOS, go download We KWL. Because we're going to do KWL. What do I know? What do I wonder about? What have I learned? And what we're going to do in We Collabrify is We KWL. Because what we want to do is write down all, we're going to brainstorm. Everybody's going to add, what's a good restaurant to eat at in Ann Arbor? So we're going to, just as an exercise, so we'll all get online together. So we'll open,
Maybe.
oh yeah, you can use yours. Yeah, oh, use yours. Start a session, and let's call it, we're going to do, We KWL.
So far left.
Oh.
We KWL. So
Can you
got-
just slow down a little bit?
Sure.
I do
You
like-
got to download We Collabrify.
Okay, can you? One of the
W-E,
students-
here it is. Here it is. You got to download this if you're Android.
I have the SB help.
If you're iOS,
Check.
do We KWL from the iTunes store. Okay?
So this brings up a good question, is you can go between iOS and
Yes.
Android. You have both platforms, SDK for
Yeah.
both.
Yes, yes, we do.
Yeah. And what we really tried to do is make it interoperable. So in a classroom, in a school, the teachers, they have what they call BYOD, bring your own device. So some they have the Android, some have this. And it's got to look the same because the teachers get confused.
What's the file name?
What's the
session?
with the session
We
name?
haven't created it yet, let's create it now.
Quick and creative.
What do you want the file name to be?
Eat. Easy. Okay, create that. And now the session name, let's call it Android. Just why not? Class name. The class name.
Yeah,
Oh, I
mine
see.
is a 3.0. Okay.
Just make it something simple. Android. We're going to look for Android.
Capital A.
Capital A, okay, and then
What does that matter?
table 1.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Uh-oh.
Table something.
You gotta make that not matter.
Right, okay. So now you're going to look for, you're going to click the bottom Find Session and look for Android. Oh, okay.
Well, we're a little bit slow. Just.
Yeah, we're gonna go slow. We're gonna go slow. We're gonna go slow.
Is it
Go slow.
Oh, someone joined it.
Hey, someone
Just
joined.
tap on your
Table
111. Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
What's the session?
Someone else joined.
There, table 111. Number 1.
It's case sensitive then.
Yes, it is. It's case sensitive,
Just
unfortunately.
hang on. Just.
So what was
Let me
it? Capital?
catch the gear.
Capital A, Android.
Just end it.
So now, if you want to create something, touch create.
How big the file is? It is what, 7? Mine is only half
Keith is
meg,
joined.
now is 7.
So if you press the in session, you'll see who's there. Jim's joined.
I missed how you become a table.
You'll search for her.
Oh, you just joined that.
So that's iOS.
Yeah, you just touch that.
Oh, someone knows everything.
Just touch it.
I have even got less than 1 meg. Now it's 7 meg. I still have a
Add
great
an
amount
eating
of
place.
minutes.
Add an eating place. Oh, wow.
Any eating.
Yes,
Any that you recommend.
just to let you
Want
know,
one of these?
say that we,
Okay, all right.
please help, otherwise I can, okay, now it's only 1 meg.
All right,
I
there
still
you
have
go.
6 megs.
So everybody's adding stuff. And it's working.
Oh, Air 101, what's that?
You got an error. Oh, oh.
How could you do that?
And teachers do this in the class, right? They'll show it,
Go to higher.
and so the kids can see what the other kids are doing.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the big letter K? What's that?
What do I know? And then you scroll. What do I wonder about? What have I learned? KWL. It's a strategy they use in primary school. What do I know? What do I wonder about? What have I learned? So what do I know about spiders? You know, what have I learned about spiders and stuff like that.
Denny's at 3 a.m. I like that.
Hey!
Search capital Android.
So, you know, we're all in the session together. We have another app we call Cooties, which is to help kids learn about how communicable diseases are transmitted. So everybody joins the session, and then they meet each other by touching the device. And then 1, 2, 3. And we use Bluetooth low power to measure if you're really next to each other. And so eventually I give you the disease, you give somebody else the disease. And the whole thing is the collaboration. You're part of a group. So the music would be a good one. Maybe there's some other apps that you guys are working on that you could use the SDK. We'd love to talk to you.
Watch the video together.
Yep, that's right. There are apps that'll let you just watch video, but watch video and write at the same time. So half the screen will be the video here, and half the screen will be a writing tool. And then you'll be talking into it. So that's the Yes We Con for the con video.
So I'm afraid I'm an MBA. What's your revenue model?
What's our revenue model?
That's okay, because you can talk to Kevin right
too,
there.
actually, just graduating. So the way that we're kind of structuring this right now is depending on verticals that we go after. One would be for freemium a model to test it out to a certain point of users, and then scale after that, which would be a monthly recurring subscription. Once you hit a specific amount of users in your app, still undetermined in that sense. We are looking at evaluating an enterprise model too for like custom-based collaboration. So if we do a full collaboration
Louder.
suite. Sorry. If we do a full collaboration suite, we could then charge for whether it's designing an app development for however you want to actually build sessions in your app. So.
So you see your revenue then coming from
the
a
SDK.
piece of what the software.
Right, development cost, right? So exactly. So a lot of the SDKs that are out there, it's a similar pricing model.
So do you see developing apps yourselves?
Not in the short term at this point. I mean, that's not really what our core goal is to focus on scaling the SDK. At that point, we would consider looking to do that. But I think today it's focusing on the SDK.
Okay, because I've spent, I've worked from home for many years, so I've spent a lot of my time on conference calls with screen sharing kinds of things.
Yeah.
And this is
This is better.
Useful.
And I've also done, I've led facilitated sessions in front of a room where we used to have those little things that everybody did the voting with.
You poll anywhere, you got the clickers.
Wisdom.
So I mean, I think at the end of the day, like that's something that we could evaluate, but as of right now, our primary concern was getting the SDK out there for people to build awesome apps with and providing the infrastructure, but then down the road, that's definitely a value-added service to look after.
Can I just add that, since everybody probably tried to download that, I like to say that what you guys are doing, exactly as you said, is above Web 2.0,
Right.
and use Social 3.0, which is a like term. However, what I want to add that earlier, he and I we talked about local and then indigenous. I think it's kind of like a new page. Even you just open this new page
Yeah.
from Web 2 to Web 3. I'm not trying to play the word of game of Web 4, but I think you guys just poke this new horizon. The Web 3, by my opinion, is big data, cloud computing, and Internet of Things.
Yeah.
What you guys do is interesting. You use social, and this is exactly the social, and this is exactly the problem in our society. That's why he and I, James and I, earlier we talked about that. The screen-based internet, social media have big problem that you have to rely on the screen. However, what you guys is that, look, you socialize it instead of peer-to-peer, right? Instead of simply a group-to-group, you actually can horizontally reach out to some kind of like of this kind of connectivity based on some kind of local. Now, what I try to say is that there are Web 3.0 is what you guys actually are, but it also have the social problem, which is because of the screen-based. So on the board, I just draw you something like you familiar with 48103. Those are geographic located. Now, I built the concept of BAN, block area network. When in order to include those people who actually want to be online, show their opinion as a group. Let me repeat. Local people want to get online, show the opinion as a group, somehow display based on the block area. Let's just put this block, you have three. You can hook up these things instead of chaotically based on geeks or peer-to-peer. Use some part of your tool. Easily can have some kind of revolution, including those people who really want to get online, but being excluded outside the cyberspace. For example, people are so poor, homeless, in slums, or people just so busy cannot stare on the screen when they're driving, fishing, or even in some battlefield. So what I'm trying to say is not just showing big term over there, is that exactly as you said that, it's going to happen. This layer of the brain, big, put it in word, they become virgin, from virgin to adult. This thin layer is right here. This thin layer is, you have to jump from the screen to the air. There's nothing that I can try to sell my product. It's going to happen. Where, who, when, that I don't know. Quite possible never, if we can work together with my tiny line. That's my point.
Questions?
Yeah, in terms of this session, can you
I don't know.
tie it into like a subscription-based kind of a thing? Like if and make it presence aware. So let's say I was taking an EDX course, okay? And I had a subscription to that EDX course.
Oh,
You would
that's
know.
interesting. That it's